Now, I know ASAP Ferg has a lot of rabid fans willing to shred anything apart that's remotely negative towards him, but just do me a favor and hear me out until the end of this video. September 1st, 2020, one of ASAP's initial founding members, A$AP Ills, goes on an Instagram story tirade claiming that he's tired of being one of the lesser knowns of the group, pitting ASAP Ferg as being a poser and washed out. The claims of Ferg making trash music came accompanied with the announcement that he would also be booted from the ASAP squad. The news became even more alarming after the double down of ASAP Bari essentially posting the equivalent of nodding his head in agreement. Thanks to ASAP Nast, we now know there's no large beef at stake, but what can be taken away is that there appear to be some unresolved issues amongst the members. I'm not here to delve into this drama, mostly due to there being no information about it public, but rather focus on a truth that came out of the whole interaction. Let's get this straight, I do not agree with A$AP Ill's approach here. If he has issues with Ferg, he should have handled them like a man instead of airing his grievances out for all to see and make judgment about. Even if this was serving as a wake-up call to really get his attention, it should not have been worded so negatively and condescending as if Ferg hasn't done a lot for the group's exposure. It doesn't take a scientist to figure out Ills was acting out of jealousy. I mean, be honest, how many of you actually even knew there was an A$AP Ills before this incident? Meanwhile, Ferg can celebrate going platinum with 4 different singles while seizing his rightfully earned opportunity to flex on demand. Due to Ill's approach being so disrespectful, people wrote off his outburst without thinking there's a point to be made about the quality of Ferg's music over the years. But there's a reason for that. Ferg hasn't given his fans anything they necessarily wouldn't want to listen to, but there lies part of the issue. Why I've made the claim that Ferg has become a mid-tier rapper is because over the latter part of the decade, he's settled into a position of comfortability which he's no longer pushing the boundaries of his music. But he did so as smooth as ice, gently transitioning his music into a lane of accessibility without losing too much of his initial fan base. Let's take it back for a second. Ferg made his break onto the scene in 2013 with his notorious album Trap Lord, an album known for its dark and punching beats. But it wasn't just the production that sold the show. The artist in question being front and center drove the menacing narrative of drugs and consequences with a mix of grim reality and humor. There was an undeniable star power to Ferg that people knew would garner him his own limelight. What was truly so impressive was how Ferg crafted an album that sounded so uniquely tailored to him, while also fitting sonically under the ASAP umbrella. However, no project has seemingly been able to top this career highlight. May it be Always Strive and Prosper or Still Striving, both LPs can't match up to the heights of Trap Lord. This isn't necessarily due to Ferg attempting and failing though, actually quite the opposite. He knows where the money's at, selling out shows and having hit records that achieve hundreds of thousands of streams. But he also knows that a core part of his following will abandon him if he strays too far away from what made him so likable in the first place. He's been experimenting with this, with Always Strive and Prosper making conventional bangers such as New Levels and Back Hurt to basically being the main consistency of Still Striving, with songs boasting trendy features from the time. All the while, both projects make sure to deliver the zany cadence and wordplay of Ferg along with a few tracks of substance so the album doesn't come off as completely pointless. On no project do I think this is better surmised than with Ferg's 2019 EP, Floor Seats. The 9-song, near 28-minute venture finds Ferg hitting the beats we all expect him to. He's not scared to get a little wild with his vocal inflections, at the very least all the beats slap, and he pulls out enough flows to keep one interested for a full listen. This project, however, is evidence of Ferg becoming a hollowed shell of what he used to be. He's smart enough to give core fans tracks like Floor Seats and Wham that are pushing the envelope a bit, mostly with their production, but can't refrain from making conventional bops as well, such as with Wigs and Jet Lag. Floor Seats 1 was serviceable. It got in, did what it had to do, and got out. But is that all there is to a Ferg project nowadays? A vehicle for one-pop adrenaline music that you add to a workout and party playlist? Yes, he had these elements in his music before, but here it's boiled down to its most essential parts with nothing else engaging about it. Not to say he has to come out with deep and conceptual bodies of work to enjoy it, but if you're gonna make a whole project based around party music, why not get a little crazy with it and make it stand out? Instead, that only happens for a few tracks and comes off a lot more like fan service than genuinely wanting to be creative. It's almost as though nowadays I look forward to his feature spots on other songs more than I do his own material. He only has one verse to work with on these instead of needing to pad out a whole song, making his time on them full of humor and energy but doing the bare minimum of what a Ferg verse should do. Originally, I had scheduled this video to come out earlier, but after hearing the announcement of Floor Seats 2, I decided to wait and include my thoughts on it here. You never know, he could have a stellar project on his hands despite not alluding to that whatsoever with the promo singles. And yeah, it's pretty much exactly like Floor Seats 1, if not more forgettable. I get it, but I don't get it. Sure, making money is cool, but there are moments when I feel like Ferg doesn't even have an interest in what he's rapping about. Instead, just compiling compiling a project with average songs to keep his name out there for when he can really capitalize off it with touring. It just seems like all the dude cares about now is who's the most high-profile / interesting artist he can collaborate with and prove his high-profile status in the process. Like, awesome, you made a track with Marilyn Manson that sounds pretty hellish with the backing screams and dark beat, but all this comes down to be is just an interesting moment on Floor Seats 2 incorporating Manson's guitar playing. It's a moment like the track Floor Seats that does something a little left field, but then reverts back to standard banger music immediately after, in this case an OK bop with Tyga. Don't get me wrong, just because he's making more mainstream music doesn't mean I automatically hate it. It's just that we know he's fully capable of doing this. Ferg making songs that go hard with good flows is right in his wheelhouse, or more like the whole foundation that his wheelhouse is built on. But because he's conforming in this way and keeping it simple, it makes songs like In It and Aussie Freaks feel more like the featured artist's track than his own. Let alone, there are times when the Ferg formula doesn't even work to begin with. Like Pops off Floor Seats 1, Floor Seats 2 treats us to a truly life-sucking listen with no ceilings where all parties involved sound like they don't want to be rapping but will go through with it just so they can get a check anyways. The track Value does slap harder than a disrespectful stepdad, but what is he really talking about? Falling in love with strippers? Taking expensive flights? How interesting, never heard that before.
I fell in love with a stripper.
Also, is it just me, or is Ferg almost straight ripping the beat and part flow of Jid's Westbrook that he was ironically on with the track Mask? Look, I don't hate this project, nor do I Ferg. It's just become more and more apparent over the years that Ferg isn't as interested in making standout music anymore. There are flashes of creativity on every project post-Trap Lord, but that's all they are, just flashes. Instead of pushing himself and coming out with something that as a whole does something different, I'm getting to the point where after hearing even my favorite new songs of his, I don't feel a need to come back to after the third or fourth listen, if it even lasts that long. The whole reason I made this video was because of how much I enjoy Ferg as an artist. I only wish he was more daring with his craft like the 2013 Ferg led on to be. But, as stated by Logic on Dadbod,
goddamn, already had a hard life once. Am I supposed to recreate it every album for you cunts? Okay.
I don't expect Ferg to keep making Trap Lord type music. If he's happy doing what he's doing, then by all means keep doing it because happiness is what matters above all. But I'm not gonna sit here and say ASAP Ills didn't bring up something that isn't apparently true despite being coded in rage and envy. The proof is in the pudding. If you enjoy Ferg's current material, more power to you. But for me, I'm gonna be a casual listener until he proves otherwise, because it's very much seeming like this is the Ferg we're going to be getting for quite some time. And if that's the case, I'm just not that interested in the trajectory anymore. But that's just me and my take on where Ferg currently is in his career. Not making bad music, but the word forgettable can be used as a surmised label. This is only my opinion though, clearly as shown in the beginning of this video. I'd love to know your guys' take on ASAP Ferg's recent output and where he stands as a favorite rapper. Did you actually enjoy these Floor Seats projects? Have you been enjoying everything Ferg has released since his rise to fame? Let me know in the comment section below. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and we can discuss it there. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched all the way until the end, I truly appreciate it. And that's all I got for you guys. If you want to like or subscribe, I would be more than grateful for that as well. And stay healthy out there. I'll see you in the next one.
You ever seen a female avatar? Tall with the... That's my uncle. Right.